What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the RLCS X Winter Split Regional 1 Weekend 1 North America recap. I now have just figured out why Leaf hates his job. Anyway, it's a mouthful, but we're going to talk about it. Spoilers will be here if you missed the weekend's action. I want to go back and watch a series. Go do it now. I'm not going to tell you what series to watch because that's a spoiler in itself, you know? Here, we'll do it. One example here. So cut off right here if you don't want to hear about any matches to watch. Hey, why don't you go watch Space Station versus Version 1? No reason. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about this. We're going to look at the bracket. We'll probably zoom in a little bit more here. I think it's pretty zoomed in, but we could probably do a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Let's talk about what exactly happened, what this format entails, and all of that. 24-team double elim means the top 8 seeds in RLCS X Fall split points. Got buys in the first round in the winners round 2. That's where they reside. 9 seed through 24. They have to play in winners round 1 and then move on after that. The one difference, or what happens in day 1, is in winners round 1 and 2, you have to try and survive those to then not go down to lower bracket round 1 because of the odd number of teams. Basically, when you lose in round 1, you get a lower bracket bye right away because that's the only way to do it. But it is good to win your round 1 game because then you're going to play a team that has a worse seed who lost in round 1 if you lose in round 2. And obviously, you have the chance to just move on through the bracket. So it still is a benefit, even though, you know, pros will complain a little bit, which they always will when a big team loses. There's going to be complaints about every format. There's complaints about Swiss where, like, the 2-0 teams didn't get enough leeway. And now on this side where 2-0 teams get all the leeway, they don't like it either. It's just the way it is. Pros will complain, which I'm perfectly fine with. I would be salty too if I just lost to version 1. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about upper round 1. No real upsets here, version 1. The one upset, they were the 17 seed versus the 16 seed of Continuum. So that's the only upset, but obviously that's like a coin flip. So not really much going on there. So everyone else moves on. And then, of course, I leave for one weekend and things just happen. And, you know, this is why I'm not allowed to leave. I blame Leaf. I blame the Chiefs for taking my role. And this is what happens. Common Arsenal doing a Rule 2. Plus 67, I would say. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. But Space Station, they always get into these Rule 2s, and they have not been paying off for them. That is for sure. So version 1 gets a huge win there. Great for them. They didn't make fall major. They now finished top 12 in Regional 1, which will help them in Regional 2 seeding, which is fantastic for that team. So great for them. Great win. Then we move on, and we're going to talk a little bit about Rogue and XSET. Now, this is one of the upsets I thought might happen, was XSET taking down Rogue. I think XSET's a very good team. They barely survived in their first round, but in round 2, they played pretty well versus Rogue, but it wasn't enough, and Rogue gets the win. A great result for Rogue, where they get to be a guaranteed top 12 team with a new roster. That is always something good. So both version 1 and Rogue make roster moves. They finish top 12. G2 destroys the Sonics. Rizzo, absolutely insane. That is exactly what G2 fans want to see. They're already calling for the whole win. They're going to win World Championship because Rizzo's playing well. Yada, yada, yada. We'll see what happens next week. But G2 dominate the Sonics, and Sonics look good throughout the weekend, so that is a great result for them. Then we get another upset. E United versus the Peeps, and E United and Peeps are both teams I'm not completely sold on. So this was one of those matches I was like kind of wishy-washy on, and I wanted to say the Peeps would get upset, but I didn't think it would be from E United, so I thought they had a generous bracket. But E United, they continue to perform. You know, good on them. They've been doing really well lately. So E United moves on over the Peeps. So the Peeps, a top 6 team, falls down to the lower bracket as well. Then we move on, and we're going to talk a little bit about Energy Ghost here. So the number 2 seed in NA. First off, everyone talks about Justin, the greatest player in the world, yada, yada, yada. He can't do anything if he's demoed mid-air from Mekdos right here. Beautiful play there from Mekdos. That is what you want to see out of a team like Ghost. Make some chaos happen, make big plays happen. That's exactly what Ghost does. Then it goes to game 5. And here's where you expect Energy to clutch it up, especially Garrett G. It basically comes down to a 0-second play that takes, 15 seconds? Maybe a little bit less. I'm probably exaggerating a bit. But Garrett G has a shot. It is a difficult shot. I'm not sure how much boost he had in the tank. He's got to basically read this rebound. He had some boost. He just barely was off positioning, hits the crossbar, and then we're going to see Ghost in a rather lengthy 45-second or so overtime take this win versus Energy. So what does that mean? Well, there's some guarantees. One, Space Station and Energy are both in the lower bracket. They're on opposite sides. But what it does mean is that one of those teams will have to finish 4th or worse because they will play in that 3rd and 4th place game if they win 5 in a row. They both have to win 5 in a row at that point in the lower bracket. So, like already, 2 of the top 2 teams, the undisputed top 2, I would say, like in North America, everyone knows that. Lion Blaze with the goal there, a brilliant pass as well, and then a great shot. So Ghost gets a huge upset. Ghost making some roster moves as well. So good on them. So they make it through. Another roster move that pays off. Alpine didn't make any roster moves. Well, they move on. Team Envy, no roster moves. They move on. The other upset I called, Pittsburgh Knights versus Kansas City Pioneers. Again, I wasn't completely sold on Kansas City Pioneers. They have been popping off, but, it's very difficult to be consistent at Rocket League at the top level. Like, I only really think the top 4 in A is relatively safe. And then after that, anything can happen. And, we see it even with the top teams in North America. It's very hard to be consistent. You don't see that out of the better region in Europe with with BDS and, Vitality doing so well. But hey, who's counting? Who's counting here? Anyway, Pittsburgh Knights, they take down Kansas City Pioneers in a 3-0 sweep. So that's a great result for them. They brought in Sosa, I believe it was. Yes, Sosa on that squad. So roster move paying off once again. So your 8 teams right there will guarantee top 12 finish. They move on to day 3, which is this weekend on Saturday. So they will play then. Moving on. I don't think I missed anything yet. No, I didn't. All right. So let's go through the lower bracket. And now the lower bracket was day 2, where 12 teams go home, 4 teams advance. And really how this all worked out was because of the seeding, the top 4 that lost were 1, 2, 5, and 6 for the seeds. They're all on opposite sides of this quadrant, basically, of there's 4 teams, 1 can move on. So it really came down to who's going to mess up. And it was a relatively boring day until the end of the day because most of the teams did win. Like Energy, they took care of business. Then Kansas City Pioneers, they took care of business. But Crimson Wings, one note, they were the only team to lose in round 1, but then beat a team that won in round 1 and lost in round 2. So Crimson Wings, they dethrone the seeding a little bit and get some extra points. And they did pretty well earlier versus the Sonics. I believe it went to 5 games. So good on them for Crimson Wings to be playing pretty well. But they lose to Kansas City Pioneers. Then you move on, and again, we're going to talk about the best team in the world. So they open up their day versus 72 Pink Connector. We'll look at Shogun and Johnny Boy because they're so beautiful. But here's how their day started. And I don't know. I don't think I've seen BDS or Vitality do that. Have you? I don't know, Reynolds. Things happen. It doesn't matter. Space Station, they pull it out. They get a 3-0 anyway. I think Reynolds just wanted a handicap because he's like, hey, I'm bored. So let's lose in round 1. Let's even give them a goal in the lower bracket round 1. Why not? Space Station, they get the win. XF versus Soul, though, probably the match of the day. And we're going to show the 0-second play by Hoxer here that was absolutely brilliant. Hoxer with the aerial dribble beats 1. Not only beats 1, beats 2. Now on the wall. And then a brilliant pass to beat the 3rd for Alpha Kep to score. So absolutely fantastic from Hoxer. And XF, they were looking like they might lose this with Soul kind of, coming back with a big upset. But XF, they pull out the win. Unfortunately, they ran into the train that was Space Station. So it didn't matter much at the end. They did get more points and more money, obviously, for finishing a little bit higher. And also, what's important about this lower bracket round 1 game is when you do win that match, you pass 8 teams. It's not like you only pass 1. You pass 8 of them because 8 of them go home in that round. That's why it's so important how to seed lower bracket round 1, which I'll probably make a video about eventually, about why we seed the way we do in a 24 team versus a 32 team. But for now, we'll save that for some other time. So Exit, they do fall to Space Station, and then you kind of knew that this was coming. The Rocket League gods don't really like when this happens. Well, Illusion Splashy. Peeps is I'm Dreaming in a Rule 2, and then Illusion breaks it because it was going to be a wide open net. And you know what? I'm just going to say, Illusion, I'm right there with you, man. I would have done the same exact thing, but you don't anger the Rocket League gods. And we see it right here because Karma came back to him really, really quick, about, 15 seconds after this. He gets an easy pass from AJ, and he beans it. So, yeah, maybe don't do that. Then also they go on to lose versus the Sonics. He broke one, I believe, in that series as well. But to be fair, let's talk about Justin. Let's talk about Season 8 Worlds Group A Final versus Vitality. He broke a Rule 2. They go on to win that game. They go on to win that series. They go on to win the World Championship. I thought the curse was over then. The only downside is that was the last time we had a LAN. Then Big C came, and, I'm not going to say it was Justin's fault, but just putting it out there. Anyway, moving on. So just be careful when you're breaking Rule 2s, because we don't know what's going to happen. Rocket League gods, they take it very, very seriously. So, careful. So, we talked about from day 2, teams have to survive, and the Peeps did not. The Sonics with T. Corell moving on to go on to finish at least top 12, and we'll see where they go from there. We will talk about these teams more in a prediction video that'll come out tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Try to add some clips in, make it a little bit more entertaining. I'm not very good at this yet. I do it all live, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not good at video editing, so this is what it is. And this is also the third time I'm making this video because I messed up a couple times. So yeah, growing pains. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.